Hey everyone, welcome to another Artwod video. We don't do a lot of these, but I'm very excited and blessed that I have one of my fellow countrymen, Rembert Montald, here with us in the studio for you guys. If you don't know Rembert, shame on you. You should follow him on Instagram at Rembert Montald or ArtStation. Basically, Rembert is a fantastic storyboard artist who has 6.5 years working at Riot and is now currently a senior at Lightspeed.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
There we go. So Rembert has a lot of industry experience. He's been around, and he's one of those people that really hones the drawing skills and is an advocate for those fundamentals. And so today we're going to go a little bit through his sketchbook and then announce something exciting at the end. Yeah. Definitely stick around.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
With that introduction, it seems like you're talking about someone else.
No, man. No. That's all you. That's all you.
But it's true what you said. Like whenever I was doing portfolio reviews with Riot, the people that can really have their fundamentals down, anatomy, figure drawing is very scarce. Yeah. And
drawing in general seems to be, right?
Yeah, it's all about since 2014, and nothing wrong with it. I'm a fan of it too. When 3D and photo bashing became like very present in the industry, then the traditional skills kind of took a nosedive.
Yeah.
But I understand because it's exciting to try new techniques and everything. But there's something that has to be said about really solid drawing.
I agree.
And I like Artwod is really focusing on that in their courses.
Yeah, we do.
It's hard to get by. So yeah, you're at the right channel if that's your interest.
You heard it here. Yeah, no, I agree. And there's something interesting about that as well. Before we dive in, is I went to industry workshops back in, I think, 2017. And like you said, it came around in 2014. So you know this a lot better than I do, the photo bashing in 3D.
Yeah.
And I was at industry workshops in 2018. And some of the producers there and recruiters, they said, we're actually trying to hire back people that can sketch. Yeah. Because we've seen that people that have beautiful portfolios that are photo bashed, they're pretty pictures, but their efficiency is really lacking in a pipeline because it's all about quick iterations and
not fast enough.
Yeah. And it's not fast enough. Exactly. And so those fundamentals are really important. Same with 3D, I would imagine.
I mean, when in the studio right now, when we get frames back from the vendor, the director just comes to me and he says, can you quickly draw? I want to see this, and this.
Yeah.
And I just sketch it in like 40 minutes, puts a halftone on it, pops some highlights,
Yeah.
And it kind of looks very presentable in the time that it took me to do it.
Yeah.
And if you were to pose it out in 3D or in DAS, it would take a little bit longer. So if you have those very quick sketch abilities, then that is super beneficial because the vendors are usually in different time zones.
Yeah.
The amount of feedback you can give at the end of the day, the time limit is short. And if you have to give in quick feedback, then sketching is something very valuable.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think every studio needs to have. I don't think every studio needs to have like 10 of them, but there is room for you. That should be your mental goal. I want to be that person in the studio that does the quick sketching. And if you keep telling that yourself, you'll end up being that person eventually.
Or being the combined artist, right? The guy or the girl that can sketch and then works in 3D, because you'll be so much more valuable.
Yeah, if you can do that,
Yeah.
The more you can do, the better, Then
exactly.
You're going to keep your job even longer.
Okay, so about the sketchbook. Frame it a little bit about, because you have a lot of sketchbooks. Which one is this specifically? How did it start? Why did you start filling this? And what's the theme going on here?
So this is, for anyone quite, this is a moleskin. It's the A5 one. And you have two kind of moleskins from this size. It's with a little bit of thinner paper, and you have the one with a thicker paper. So this is the one with a little bit more thicker paper, as you can hear it. And this one started at the start of May.
Okay.
My sister got married in Japan, and I just wanted to have this entire sketchbook for Japan, but I only ended up filling it halfway from Japan.
Right.
We were there for 2 weeks or something. So this is us at the airport already, and I wanted to do my first sketch at the airport that we're going to.
So you filled it halfway in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't want to. I mean, halfway. This is.
Yeah, that's decently there.
For 40% or something. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
But keep in mind, sometimes I do sketches. There's going to be some less detail and more.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in the moment, I just try to capture the mood really quick, and later on, you're going to see a few of those. And we even going to see a transition at some point.
Yes.
then you can see what I put in the moment and what I add after the fact.
Right.
Because if I just stand there for hours and I draw, then everyone's going to get pissed at me.
Yeah.
But I always try to draw the things that I don't know. If there is a Chinese temple, I'm going to try to focus on that one.
Right. All right. So let's go through it a little bit, page by page. I was like, I love seeing this.
Yes, this is. So the first one was us waiting at the airport.
Yeah.
And this was on the plane eating an ice cream, Singapore Airlines. And I tried to. Normally I draw myself sketching.
Yeah.
But here I was trying to do something different because I do that too much. It's kind of a party trick gimmick right now.
Exactly. But you like these POV kind of sketches, right?
Yeah.
But they're not easy to pull off, I would say, especially for people starting out, because it takes a lot of spatial awareness. Is there anything that you start off with as sort of like an anchoring point to be able to do these?
Yeah. So what I try to do is I try to get one element accurate.
Okay.
Accurate, like solid.
Yeah.
That I can build something from. So, but before I start even, I see the composition sort of.
Yeah.
So I want the screen with some stuff coming out. So I always think a little bit. It's not just that I just start drawing and I didn't give it thought where I'm going to go. I mean, that does happen sometimes, but if it's a full page, I try to create some sort of composition in mind, like a lot of small shapes here, bigger shapes here, like contrast.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So I started by drawing these hands with the ice cream, and you can see that I have very vaguely like feathered in lines. So I do give an entire perspective. Like on the next one, you're gonna see it as well. That there are very
that's beautiful.
Vague. I know. Thank you. This one was actually something that I was thinking about before I was on the plane. It sounds weird, but I'm excited to have plane rides because that means I have 9 hours to draw.
Yeah.
And I did many drawings that I'm in the seat right in front.
Yeah.
And I was already thinking at home before I jumped on the plane, I wonder if I go sideways into the alley, what that would be. So I thought about drawing this before I even went on the plane.
Yeah.
So you can see how weird I am.
Yeah, it's really nice, man. And the figures sort of really fit. I think the thing I really struggle with, and a lot of people struggle with, is sort of the scaling issue of your canvas. Especially putting figures in, like people might start with a head and then they figure out like, oh, I only have room for like the waist and this and that. So how do you keep your proportions accurate in like a complex scene like this?
So like I said, again, I just start with, I think I started, I started overall with the sort of the lines, like I wanted the seats here and here's a foreground element. Probably if this was in Photoshop, I would blur this.
Right.
And blur this hand too, so create more depth. I don't have that here, but I'm always thinking about those things as well. What would I do if I want to take it further? Because the further you can see ahead, the easier it is to make your picture. It's like a watercolor, you know, where you're going to leave the whites and the ideas are going to show up till the very end.
Exactly.
So you need to see it as, well, I'm not going to say you need to see the entire picture in your head because I do make stuff up, but just the general composition.
Yeah.
So I think even Kim Young-ji, when he goes straight into those big, I think he knows I'm going to put a perspective and it's going to go in this way towards the end.
Yeah.
But what he's going to draw in that perspective, that's just in the moment. I feel like drawing a tiger. I feel like drawing whatever.
Yeah.
So, well, here there's nothing fantasy in it. So I just wanted to have that feeling of peeking through the lane.
And I see you starting with the feet and the legs a lot.
Yeah.
Because you want to ground your characters. Did you do the same thing for this?
Mostly, if it's in perspective, I want to see that the feet are planted on the ground. And it makes it easier to build from there in a way. But you can do it any way you want. Like Mobius started from a hand or a feet and then the head and then connected it. So it's,
interesting. That requires a lot of, for the students that listen, it does require a lot of knowledge of your mannequin and your figure proportions, right? Because if you want to start with a head, where most students, they measure the figure based on the head size, literally. If you start with the feet, you don't have that measurement. So you kind of need to almost intuitively
you eyeball it a lot.
Yeah.
Like everything here is more or less eyeballed. And you can see some mistake. Like I think it bends a little bit too much here, but you know, it could be a lens distortion.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to, here I made... I think you can see some hands here, like first here, here.
Oh, yeah.
I just redrew it. If you make a mistake, just ignore it, draw around it. Because the more you emphasize the mistake, the more people are going to watch it. So When you make a mistake,
Good point.
just draw around it. You know you screwed up, but don't give up on the drawing. Don't rip it out.
Yeah.
Try to develop a skill to fix your drawings while you're going. Like I said earlier, Kim Young-ji did that a lot.
Yeah.
When an arm was too long, he just cut it off and it looks like it was, like you have that effect that it's floating. When the feet is not in perspective, he puts something underneath it so it looks that it's heightened, so it fits the perspective again. If he drew a foot wrong or a hand, he drew a Black Panther over it.
Yeah.
It's like, I would be interested in having a course, if that was ever made, like that he just explained how he masks things.
That would have been great. Yeah. That's something that's like almost a little bit of a soft skill that is very underappreciated, I think, and that you definitely learn when you do sketches like these is to work with your mistakes.
Yes.
And not be frustrated and undo and then try to redo it perfectly, but like work with what you have and sort of and move forward, because that will make you more efficient.
Yeah.
Than trying to always cycle in the same, like, oh, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of drawings in this book that if I would have done them in pencil first, they would have taken me 4 or 5 times longer. Yeah. They would look cleaner, but it's not about being clean in this sketchbook. This is just, I want to experiment with compositions and I want to learn to navigate those difficulties when I draw and how to mask them.
Yeah.
Like here, example, I started with this one.
Yeah.
That was really from a film frame. So this was with reference, but the rest, I was just like, okay, I drew this element that was interesting, but how can I now make this into a scene? And I was watching Saving Private Ryan on the plane.
Yeah, that's
Normandy.
Cool.
I showed the sketchbook to my grandma and she was like, why there's so much violence in your drawings?
Poor grandma.
It's a movie. Well, it wasn't really, but...
this is cool, man. I like this.
This is from the tram. And I was literally walking behind my wife and Ben, who's our roommate, through Tokyo. So now we're actually in Tokyo. This was all from the airport,
right?
And plane.
That's so awesome.
It's giving me a flower. I don't know.
Like you're also telling a story with the sketchbook side. That's really nice. Like a life experience, you know? Super cool.
They're not the most accurate sketches, but I really have fun doing these. Like when he just pointed out, oh, those lights are funny, then I just drew it right there. Or the house, someone on a bike.
And it's such a good skill. Like I think that's what a lot of people are afraid to just start a drawing with, because they have that fear of failure. But by you doing this, right, simple sketches to more complex sketches, you fill that visual library with so many more interesting things that when you go to design something in your professional work, there's a lot of visuals in your mind.
Yeah, the way I sketch here is pretty similar to storyboarding.
Yeah.
It's just the perspective, trying to capture a temple really quick.
Yeah.
So these are more quicker, and then other ones I can flesh out a little bit more, experiment with Japanese things that I found there.
So awesome.
And you can see sometimes I just get really loose, like it just doesn't. And here again, this figure was here. I did not like it, so I just I drew it, but then I just ignored it. And it can be scary sometimes to, because you're thinking everyone's gonna see it, but when you look at it like this, like I had to point it out. So when you make a choice and you want to go back, even with ball pen and permanent media, you just work around it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just really effective as well, like with highlighting your focal points, and so that the image flows nicely and reads nicely. It's really cool.
More of a down perspective. I mean, usually my perspectives are from up down, and this is from down up.
That makes it more imposing as well. So it's super cool to see.
Like really quick sketches here. Like
this is cool. That's what I love. You know, those, because they show a lot of energy. Things like this.
When he's playing the game?
Yeah. I could totally see that in like a frame or something. I just like high energy sketches.
And this was Shibuya Station, a Starbucks.
Okay.
I just was waiting there and I saw like everyone talking, gossiping. And I was seeing this composition. So with this empty space here, like I'm always thinking about those old magazine illustrations. Like usually they leave this white for the title or something of the article or the story, like Good Housekeeping.
It's that vignetting, right? Like what Dean Cornwell used to do.
Oh yeah, I love that. If I would paint this, I would leave this white.
Yeah.
And then have like the figures in sort of a monotone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love vignetting. I'm gonna do more oil paintings or just painting in general. I will keep doing that.
You said something interesting, that you intentionally try to draw scenery, not too many like random sketches on a page. Like I'm guilty of that, right? I do the random sketches in a sketchbook, not too many sceneries. You try to purposefully sort of train to have like an entire story and a setting, but it becomes a little bit more complex, right, to do this because everything sort of is relative to each other and it needs to make sense. Like how, with this many figures in here, right? How are you planning this? Like, is there a particular area you start and then try to build out from that to still make it work, or?
Yeah, I think I start with this with a seat here, and I kind of know that my perspective I'm gonna have. So you think about all of this before you start drawing.
Okay.
Like, how do I want it? Like the boxes in space. Like, it's more like a fan.
Yeah.
You see, like the hand points like this, and that's more how I'm thinking. Not where's my vanishing point. I'm more thinking of capturing the feeling of looking down. I don't think about vanishing points. I think about this entire thing as a box, and where in the box is the floor.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm sort of eyeballing it on the floor in that box.
Interesting.
Because if you start thinking about here one, there one, and it's kind of 4. So,
yeah.
But the 4 is just a bluff because you take that box and you warp it, you round it off, like you bend the framework.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I could still push it more because here it is a little bit, but here I could have.
Yeah.
And then you just start drawing a figure and you try to make it, I think like that one or something, and you try to make it solid.
Right.
As good as you can. And if it sucks, kind of, that's okay, because it doesn't matter. If you start filling out the entire scene, your mistakes are gonna get hidden.
It's
buried
like
in the detail.
The cheerleader effect. It's
what is that?
Do you know that from? Do you know the show How I Met Your Mother?
I haven't seen it.
Well, they talk about the cheerleader effect. Is like basically if a lot of not too pretty women are grouped or flocked together, they can still appear pretty. And it's the same here. Like, even though you have mistakes here and there, the overall composition makes it a very successful drawing.
Yeah, it's sort of you're just bluffing your way through it sometimes. I need to watch How I Met Your Mother.
You do. It's a really good show. I love it. It's a really good show.
So the stamp you're seeing there is like, that should be my name and last name in Japan. I had that stamp made.
Okay, cool.
But somebody said you can also read it as Sleepy Grandpa. So I'm already looking into the future. You know? So I will be like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That was in a museum. That was at 5 a.m, jet lagged. I went out and I saw this very cool building. I mean, I was super awake. I was jet lagged.
Nice.
You have that probably too when you go to LA, like or to
you
wake up at 4 a.m, like super awake. So this brush pen, the reason why it's so blobby is because the tip wasn't fine anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought it was my mistake, which probably is also true. If I could learn how to paint with a blobby. So you need to make sure that they're very sharp.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to go into details, but it just wasn't.
It's very hard. Like the thing I struggle with most with the brush pen is there's a certain way that you can literally brush and then get a lighter value.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it well enough, you get just black. And then if you try to put in like a light value, so sort of like what you see Kim Young-gi do a lot, is like this heavy brushing to make it like that half tone value.
You can also just like immediately.
You can use your finger, yeah. That's what I'm doing now because it's a lot easier.
But there's many different types of ink. There is also an ink that is a little bit more grayer. And I think I have it in my pocket. I can show it later. And this ink was actually the most difficult work. It's just black.
Yeah.
And you have a dark gray one.
Yeah.
And if you go over it 2 times, then it becomes this black, but it leaves a little tone. It's a Japanese pen. It's cool. It's also from Pentel. I'll probably show it later. Okay. And this was like the Ghibli Museum.
Oh, cool.
That's Miyazaki's mother, I believe. She wasn't there. There was a picture of her.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit weird.
Very good for her age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they give. It was pretty awesome.
These are the tickets?
Yeah.
The museum tickets? Like, that's so cool.
It is really cool because normally to get in the museum, you have to reserve like months in advance. But my sister lives in Japan and she has a Japanese phone number and code. And if you're Japanese, then you can get in like a week.
Oh, that's awesome.
So thank you, Ilse. Yeah.
Thank you, Ilse.
You're planning to go to Japan?
Of course. We haven't been yet. But I'm definitely planning. But if we do it, it's like it'll be a month or 5 weeks or something, so that we can properly do Tokyo and then go to Osaka and all of those.
So we did a family visit to Himeji Castle. That's me.
Okay.
That's my family there. It's a beautiful castle. You can see I wanted to draw a warrior in the sky or something.
Yeah.
But this is something, I don't know if the camera can pick it up. It's super light, but that's sort of
Okay.
how I sometimes start as
Yeah,
well.
you
if
always
I
start
feel-
very light, right?
Yeah,
It's like-
super light.
Yeah.
I think Evan called it feathering in. Like,
Feathering in.
yeah, he's sent me
makes
that
sense.
once and it stuck with me. So this is a page that I never finished that much.
But this might be like how you start a sketch.
Yeah,
Like,
this is what I
like-
drew in the moment. Yeah,
yeah.
when I was there.
So you're most focused on finding that composition for your page
Yeah,
before you commit to anything.
it's like a samurai and someone on her phone here. And I was thinking like a comic, but
Yeah.
probably when I fly home right now, I'm thinking I'm gonna finish it or something. Like this was also in the moment. My
Nice.
great grand uncle, he's like a famous Belgian painter, and there was a painting of him in the museum in Japan, so I kind of sketched it. He's
So
also
it's
in
in
the
your genes.
no
It's
no.
in your genes. Rembert.
He's also in the Beaux-Arts in Brussels and in
Oh,
Paris.
really?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, actually, my grandfather was an artist as well.
Oh, nice. So it's also in
it's
your
a little bit
genes.
genes. Yeah. Can't
So what
deny
you're
it.
telling your students is give up if you don't have the
You
genes.
don't have the genes. You just quit.
I'm joking. Like
Go down your family tree and look up an artist. No.
not at all.
You
All
can
this can be
always
learned.
become an artist, yeah.
Yeah. That's on the tram. That's Mariel and I. And this is that same girl, but from a different
Oh,
position.
yeah.
So I was sort of like, can I draw it? So I first drew this and then trying to see it from another angle. Because I was sitting here, so I saw her from this angle.
Yeah. I love these characters. I also love that you switch colors. It's like, adds
I
a little bit of
wanted to fill
livelihood.
it in and finish it, but I see like there's so much to draw in Japan, and I had to continue.
Yeah.
That was the kimono shop. You can rent
Nice.
it, and Mario was trying a lot of kimonos,
Yeah.
so I'm just standing there.
Yeah.
Might as well draw.
Not wearing a kimono.
No, I didn't.
Haven't tried it.
No, but there are male ones.
Yeah, there are.
That's my cousin, I guess.
Ah, okay.
And here I drew the feet wrong, and I drew a dog over it. So I did that.
Kimiongi style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw him make a big mistake like that. Like I think he was drawing a girl lying on the ground, and then the arm was so weird.
Yeah.
And my friend and I that were watching, and Jonas Minnebo was there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you
nice.
told me he mentioned it as well.
Yeah, Jonas.
And like he just drew something wrong, and then he started doing like a big black blob, and I was like, "What is he doing?" And he became a panther. It's like oh,
There you go.
because this part of the panther
Yeah.
is easy to draw because it's just
Yep.
black.
Yep.
But then you just have to make sure these things line up.
Makes sense.
Probably he has a mistake. He has a fix as well if the panther goes wrong.
Yeah, of course. Like,
So-
it's Kimiongi. Then you'll do a dragon out of the panther or something.
Yeah, and something even more big. And then it's just a black canvas. It's now Malevich, Kazimir
Yeah.
Malevich, the black square. So you can bluff your way out of anything.
can-
Probably he started trying to draw a dragon Malevich.
These are cool. I love this.
It's in Nara. You can give them like cookies and they
Yeah.
bow to you, the deers. So these I actually all drew from life.
Nice.
The little gray tone afterwards I added later,
Yeah.
but the drawing is there.
Nice.
And like I said on the previous recording, this one I removed when I uploaded it
Yeah.
because it's not in perspective.
Yeah. Should have been here. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I was just too excited drawing deers, I guess.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and I
forgot
see them,
about
I see
the
them returning
perspective.
in your drawings. Like
Yeah.
now they're sort of ingrained. A
Deers
little
are
bit better.
fun. Yeah,
And so you can just draw them from imagination. That's awesome.
that's
Yeah, and I literally asked you last time, like, did you put these in the scene afterwards? But this was literally in Japan.
It was
Yeah,
literally, and
that's
actually
so
there's
crazy.
a really funny story. So this was drawn in the middle of a forest
Yeah.
in Japan. I was on vacation, and suddenly Ian McManus,
Yeah.
I meet him here, and
In Japan.
in a random forest, and I'm just sitting there like, Finian, is that you? Because we're both on vacation and meeting a random. It was just like one in a. I don't
Yeah.
know what the chances are. It's just weird.
Yeah.
If I meet him again like that, I know someone is stalking someone. From that
I had
is-
the same with Maarten Hermans. He lives here in Belgium, of course, and I
Yeah.
constantly tell him like we should meet or something. And then I go to the cave event in Denmark,
Yeah.
and he's there also speaking. I'm like, we have to travel this many miles to meet each other. That's
But
ridiculous.
that's still an event.
Yeah, it's
that is
true. Yeah,
but this
you
is
did
just
like
a random forest in Japan, and
Yeah.
he's from LA, and I also live there, but we don't meet there. And it's like, what is it? Like, if it was even in Tokyo, it would have been more chance. This
Yeah.
is just okay. I still don't understand how that happened.
Maybe he's just stalking you.
Yeah, Finian.
This is beautiful.
This is like a Mount Fujinari. It's the one with all the gates.
Oh,
They take a lot of pictures there.
That's so cool.
And I still don't understand what it is. If you know in the comments, it's something with water and you have to pour it over.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody let us know.
Yeah, please enlighten me. And that's back at the airport. So
This is that Dean Cornwell style again. You know, that vignetting?
Yeah,
I love it so much.
you would paint this.
Yeah.
Not even that. I think even Dean Cornwell would leave out the legs here or something.
Something, yeah, but so awesome.
And here is a mistake again. I drew the stewardess.
Yeah.
Was too small, scaling with the rest. Also not in perspective because I had to put her on a box. But then I just made a stand from it, like a cardboard stand, by putting a text balloon and this line around it so that it feels like it's cardboard.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't meant that way at all.
You see, that's what I mean by working with your mistake. Is like you're creatively problem solving something as a mistake. And I think it's really good for people to do this as well.
Yeah,
because when you're designing, it's problem solving as well. It doesn't matter if like you're designing a cool costume or like you're shot designing. There's like problem solving, and doing things like this sort of helps with that. It's super nice.
Well, you develop all these tricks because every time you invent a trick like that, you can use it later as a solution to a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a way of thinking. Yeah, this was on the plane. Like that was from pictures. The previous one, they didn't stand that long still. It was some sort of parade in Kyoto. Yeah. It's from pictures.
Nice.
So I was back on the plane and I got a statue from Asuka Evangelion.
Yep.
Drew the statue. And this was at Monster Palooza in LA back.
Oh, nice.
It's like a VFX makeup convention.
Yeah.
Like Paul Liu, he invited me. He was talking to some friends and I just started drawing them.
Super cool.
I always enjoy putting pictures in the painting. There's something about a picture within a picture. It's like drawing someone and drawing. I always enjoy that. And this guy wasn't really standing well, so I put him on a chair.
Yeah, I love that. I just love the fact that I think this is one of the hardest things, by the way, is like showing human interaction in a sketch, because it's fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but it's easier to just draw one-off characters, stand alone, but have them interact with each other also adds so much more storytelling and life to your sketches.
It gives something also for the viewer.
Yeah.
They can try to figure it. It keeps them longer hooked to look at it, and it sort of draws. It
immerses them in the scene, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like a comic book at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have a one-off character, you could be like, I mean, there's still cool sketches, but you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's just,
and then you move on because you've seen it. But with this, I can be like, ooh, what was going on here? You know, what were they talking about, and where was this? And yeah, exactly. That's so fun.
Again, here, feet wasn't on the ground in perspective. Put it on. But you can still see it because I was trying to fix it, but I could have drawn those books better to hide it better. And sometimes you draw a leg in a different way. This was in Santa Monica in Draw and Cry, I think it's called. It's like artists get together at the giant robot gallery to draw.
And when you draw these horses, I mean, that's just because you practice them and you just want to incorporate them.
Yeah, something
a little
weird.
bit. Yeah, it makes sense.
And with the marker, you can pull them out a little bit. That's a 405. That's Mariel in the car in our Subaru.
Yeah, so I asked you this question before, and I'm going to ask it again. Like, when I'm in a car, right, or when everyone's in a car, you get overloaded with detail. Like, everything's detail in a car. You could spend an hour on this part of the dashboard detailing it because all of this is there. But you're deliberately making choices, right, to have like these focal points, and we're still believing we're in a car with very little detail here and there. How do you choose
where to put the details?
Yeah.
Well, I already knew at the start that I want her to be the most, the smallest shapes are all here.
Right.
So then I know that it's like painting, actually. I think the best advice I had for drawing is don't think you're drawing. Painting and drawing is the same. You're making an image. So less detail here and the more detail there. The same when you're painting. You're just outlining a shape anyway with a line. It's just the outline of a shape. Well, there's more to lines with line weight. Like if they're thicker, they can appear closer.
Yeah.
But eventually, just think that you're painting. And a lot of the times when I do all of this, sometimes I use a little bit of a...
Yeah.
Mariel's always, when I do that in public, stop doing that, you look weird. I probably do, but the sketch is gonna look better.
The Sketchbook probably enjoys it.
Probably not. Well, this is the time I can talk about about enjoying the sketchbook, so that I was on a bus on Saturday. So we made this recording, the last one last week, and this weekend I rented a car here in Belgium.
All right.
And I wanted to be nostalgic and use my old commute to Brussels to meet a friend. And I lost my sketchbook on the bus, believe it or not.
Wow.
And the next morning, I realized it because I got back late. And I drive through to the bus station terminal on Sunday morning. There's nobody working in Belgium on Sunday morning. And the guy just says, "Oh, I know the bus you were on. The number is here, but it's in another town 40 minutes from here."
Oh, shit.
So I drive all the way there.
And it was this sketchbook?
It was this
Oh,
sketchbook.
damn.
That's the one I lost this weekend. And then I tried to ring at this door, but it was not the official from the bus.
Yeah.
So nobody was opening, but I knew, hopefully the bus was in there. So I just crawled over the fence and I searched for the buses for the number. The bus was charging in the electric charger. I run in the bus, and there it is, my sketchbook on the floor in this empty bus.
Man.
In a bus parking lot, because it was going to have another round the next day. It was going to start again. So I didn't want anyone to pick it up or find it. So I just ran out again with the sketchbook, like so happy. Oh my God. Like throw it over the fence, crawl over it and drive away. So the guy on the security camera must have thought, what the hell is
What the hell is that guy doing?
But that's how much I would have missed my sketchbook.
That's commitment, everybody. That's commitment.
But don't do
That's
that
love
too
for the
much,
craft.
you know?
So technically, this is a stolen sketchbook now.
Yeah, from myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, here, this angel, she wasn't an angel at first. I just, the feet were too far from the ground, so I made her float.
So you see, just creative problem solving. I love it. These are nice.
There were loose as Mario sleeping somewhere in Central California.
Yeah, you draw a lot of Mariel sleeping, right?
Yeah.
People starting to think that she's just...
Oh yeah, that's funny. Like my mom was looking through the sketchbooks, and she just said, like, everyone's gonna think you only sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
She's laughing with that joke now too. The SWAT team, the bunny SWAT team with bubbles.
Something like that. What sparks your imagination to do this?
This was actually a demo for a workshop. Like I was doing live, and I just had to come up with something. So I drew myself drawing. So I kind of know what's around me because I just need to look what's around me.
Yeah.
And then what if a SWAT team raids me or something?
Okay.
So
interesting.
Most of the things are what if. Of course, I looked at reference of SWAT teams. Because I don't know how to draw a SWAT team out of my head. Even Kim Young-ji said in the mornings he looks at reference a lot and he draws from it, and then he can use it during the day. So every morning he was looking at something he didn't see before.
Yeah, I think, and then that's a big misconception that everyone thinks that they should be able to do everything from imagination, whereas using reference is just normal. I think a good way to use reference, just like what Evan does as well, is not particularly start your finished painting or drawing while having the reference, but more like study the reference beforehand so you can internalize the shapes and then be creative with that afterwards, which is, that's a good tip. And that's what you do as well, right? You just sort of...
I mean, if you have to design a typewriter from the 1920s, you're going to have to look at reference.
Exactly.
Nobody knows what that looks like.
Exactly.
There's nothing macho about drawing from your head. Like, I think nobody can really do it because you can't draw what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Except if you're drawing, even if you're drawing some weird monsters that don't exist, they're always based on some anatomy.
Yep.
Unless it's a blob of slime or something, but then you still need to look at the material of the slime.
However, like a lot of beginners still have that sort of preconception that, and social media is really bad for that because you see like a finished sketch and you're like, oh, they just did that. They just magically appeared out of their hand.
Also, every minute you're on social media could be a minute you're drawing. Just post your stuff, check out your closest friends, but don't do the endless scrolling. I mean, it's always good to discover new artists, but for that purpose, I just go to museums because then you can really see the painting up close. And then there's no, because of social media, you don't see the scale of things. And I think that's important because then you can see how long it took them to do it. All those masterworks in the museum. But if you don't like classical painting, then saving pictures then and having a gallery as a screensaver or something. And when you're having lunch at work or something, then you can sit in front of your screensaver and you have your own art gallery in front of you. And you can absorb it more as well.
Yeah, or go to events.
Yeah.
Right?
Events is
like
the
what
best.
you do, and the events are the best. Exactly. You can see guys like Rembert demoing, and you can talk to them and you can ask them about their process. And like, don't be shy of that. When I was at Cave, there was a girl that came all the way from Belgium to, well, do the event, but also see me. But then she was too shy to talk to me.
Oh, she texted you afterwards?
No. But they told me, and I went up to her, and of course, because like it's just you can come up to any of the you would deem as rock star artists. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a Craig Mullins, absolutely doesn't matter, and they will give you advice. They will tell you about their process. Like I'm yet to meet an artist I don't like. It's like we're all like-minded. We all understand the struggle, by the way, that it takes to do this. And so we're here to help.
And by the way, there's nothing glamorous about being a glamour artist or whatever that implies. At the end of the day, we're still sitting alone in our room and drawing like everybody else.
Yep.
Like just at the event, it kind of feels.
Yeah.
But when you go back home, we're all the same. The same struggle. Like you grind through those fundamentals. And I don't like saying the word grinding too much because you want to have fun. I think the most the thing that stops progress is actually the enjoyment for drawing. Like not even technique. If you don't progress for 6 years, but you have the same passion for drawing, that's fine because you're still drawing. You will eventually get there, everyone at their own pace.
Yeah.
Because someone that just grinds for 2 years, 3 years straight, maybe is going to have a burnout quicker or something. So at your own pace, it's really important.
Yeah. I think it's very mindset driven because grind has a negative connotation. It can be positive in the way that you just, like what you literally said, also for me feels part of the grind is don't look at social media because you could be drawing. For
also,
some people
don't force yourself, because sometimes you have it that you're sitting and you have that as well. You're watching TV, it's like I could be drawing, and then you get stressed,
Yeah, true. But I also feel like sometimes you have to force yourself to work out.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I have to do that as well. Like sometimes I'd much rather sit in my chair and be watching a Netflix series and not work out. But when I force myself to just start warming up, the enjoyment of the workout is always there. And for drawing, it's the exact same. You will enjoy the drawing. It's just sort of forcing yourself, okay, don't do this mindless stuff.
Right.
Do something productive.
Yeah. I'm more talking about when you're already drawing for 13 hours a day. And then or 14, whatever it is, and then in the evening you still feel like you need to do your personal work for, and then and then like months like that, then it's kind of cool to just sometimes, you know what, I'm gonna go outside now. I'm not gonna draw. Yeah, I'm just gonna. You can even look at the world, and we're just so weird because we're always gonna think about art. It's like, how would I paint that? How would I draw that?
Yeah, true.
It's just, I guess that's the life we chose anyway.
It's good that you bring that up too, because I want to ask you. Because you're one of those artists that draws 10 hours, 12 hours a day already for work.
Yes.
Where do you find that enjoyment that you're talking about to fill sketchbooks after sketchbooks and keep doing that for personal work?
Well, this is more meditation for me, believe it or not. Like digital kind of became work.
Right.
I stopped doing digital paintings, like I think early last year, because I just didn't feel like doing. It's very weird. You would never see me do digital personal work as much anymore.
Right.
Probably maybe in the future, I don't know. But right now I'm just really enjoying drawing because it's like meditation. It's super. I'm not even thinking I'm working anymore. I'm just drawing. Yeah. The world I see around me. It's like a diary or something, but more a visual. And like here, what the hell am I doing here? This isn't an art director is going to look at that. Nobody's going to look at this. Well, now we're looking at it, but this is just purely meant for brain vomit, sort of.
It makes sense though. Like
it's really
to find that meditation in it and relaxation.
Like, this is Mario sleeping. It's actually more like that.
Yeah.
And nobody told me to do that. I just enjoy doing that. It's I think I got inspired by drawing Mario that much by an artist called Ivo Hele. Like I mentioned, he drew his wife a lot. Yeah. And I was thinking that's really sweet to do, and that's awesome. Like you don't need to go to live drawing. Just drive your spouse, your partner. Yeah. Like they're there for free, you know. You can pay them back by buying them breakfast together or a romantic dinner. I don't know. And even then you can draw them.
Things like this are like, that's design, man. An art director would love this.
Yeah, that's more imagination. I still think her, like I mentioned it last time, like her eyes a little bit whatever.
And not noticeable. It's a really cool design.
It's more like Easter Island is. I really like the Polynesia and stuff. And that's a colleague who likes Lord of the Rings.
All right.
So I drew him with Ingval and Stoom.
Yep.
Smeagol wasn't there though.
I think that's a good sort of reference point of saying that you can find inspiration everywhere. You had a friend that loves Lord of the Rings, and sort of that inspires you to draw. A lot of like people struggle with art block, you know, and in your personal life, there's so many things that you can draw, right?
Yeah.
And you should actually never technically have art block. You can always draw something, whether it's in your surroundings,
this
from
was
your
just
friends.
a boring desk,
Yeah.
someone working, but you make something fun out of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Find the enjoyment in drawing. I think that's what you represent really well. That's what I'm trying to do as well. And we're trying to teach our students now as well. It's like find the joy in drawing. You're accumulating all of these skills. Have fun with them. They shouldn't just be for, oh, I need this portfolio to get into Riot.
No, that's the wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very strange. When I around 2012, 11, everyone was grinding on the portfolio, like I said, photorealism, photo bashing, and if you the tendency was, and I still think it is, like I'm not saying it's a wrong approach. They were doing fan art of the company they want to work for, like in the style already. I wasn't doing that at all. I was painting like the churches, like I was doing like things that I just enjoy from classical painting. I got a job with it anyway, because it's the attitudes and how you deliver the work. And plus, I always tell people, if you want to work for Disney, I mean, I didn't tell this, one of the 9 old men said it. If you give a portfolio of Mickey Mouse's, or I think it was Eric Larson who said it.
Okay.
He said, we already have people who can draw Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
We want to see you because we want to hire you for who you are.
Yeah.
So try to draw stuff that is close to your heart, and whoever the art recruiter is, he's going to notice that. And it's like, your portfolio is not just give me a job. It's like, this is who I am.
Yep. I have 2 perfect examples for that as well. And I tell our students constantly is what you said specifically, like people trying to cater to the style of a company. Companies don't necessarily want that. If you look at Hearthstone, for instance, 2 of my favorite artists worked on that, Jesper Esching and Max Grecken.
Yeah.
Their styles couldn't be more
apart.
But the Blizzard hires them for what they are, what they represent, the skills they have. And then another perfect example is Loish worked on Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Her style is nothing like the end result of the game.
But people just think it's more about the vibe of the drawing.
Yep, exactly.
Because you can convert that to any style later on. But that is more blue sky, what you're talking about. Except Max Grecke, and that's really Hearthstone. This is more a funny card. Let's give it to Max.
Yeah.
This is a very, like, they want a fairy in a tree, like Dragon, Jesper Racing. He does more than that, but
yeah,
they're both amazing.
But it's true, right? They worked on the same thing. And then students might look at Hearthstone and sort of distill a style from that and think like, oh, this is what I need to hit. But that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for, like you said, your voice. What do you bring?
There's something to, and you might say those are the rock star artists, but I always know from guitar players, they stand with their guitar sometimes when they're not famous in front of the mirror, just imagining they're in front of a crowd. If you just are drawing and you can imagine that you're already working in that studio, it's like the mental game that you're playing with yourself is going to really help you, because then...
Visualization.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it also will motivate you to draw, because like, I'm already working there. Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Just play mental games, like
absolutely.
What those guitar players did. It's like
I've
prophecy or something.
Yeah. Just like you and Juan Del Rey, I met both of you. No, I didn't meet you before you worked at Riot, but I met Juan at Industry Workshop before he worked for Riot.
Yeah.
And he had a sketchbook. He has a beautiful sketchbook as well. And the first thing he said was, I'm going to work for Riot at someday.
Oh, he did?
Just very determined. Yeah. And he works for Riot. It's like, it's that visualization game, like you said. If you believe it, then it will usually come true.
Just have to lie to yourself.
Yeah, it's just fake it till you make it.
And these are film studies. These are really meditation, because that's even more relaxing, because I just have to interpret the shapes.
Yeah.
And it's from the Queen's Gambit.
Yes. You said something very interesting that I remember from this drawing is because some people might interpret your style a little bit more blocky.
Yeah.
But you said that's for a specific reason in storyboarding.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
So a circle, from every angle, it looks like a circle. So you're not really, so in storyboarding, the camera angle is down, up, left, or right from the figure is very important. And when you start with rounded shapes, it's harder to indicate the perspective.
Right.
When you work more blocky, then there is no doubt if you're under it or above it. The ear is so blocky that it can feel like a architectural element that you can turn around more easily.
Interesting.
Because if it's just a round shape, if it's a round ball with a round ear around it, like, okay, where it is placed, you can see if the head is turning. But if it's a cube, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why I draw so blocky when I board, is because I want to take that advantage of the geometry.
Right.
And designing for efficiency. But it also looks, in my opinion, beautiful to use cubes. I'm not saying
it has become your style. Like when I see your boards that you post on ArtStation or Instagram and your sketches, like it's like, oh, that's the Rembert style. And the orientation, like you said, really becomes clear.
Well, I also got it from Santo. I have to give credit. I worked with him for 3 years.
Okay.
And I saw him do that. And I was always figuring, that makes sense. He didn't tell me this, but I just think, like usually I don't ask too many questions when I'm inspired by a fellow colleague. Like I just try to analyze it and try to figure it out on my own. Sure.
That's an important word, analyze it. I think that's what I do a lot as well with my favorite artists. Because you understand fundamentals or you learn fundamentals, you try to look at another artist and analyze, okay, what fundamentals are they using and how can I use that in my stuff? And that's sort of how you cultivate a style, right? Because all of us, our styles are just an accumulation of other people's styles.
Yeah, plus if you don't ask it and you try to figure it out on your own, you might get there in a different way.
Yes.
It's like, again, the analogy with music. I think nowadays everything is so ready available to learn online. And before that, you had to listen to the radio and try to figure out how they play it.
Yes.
And then you might come up with a different way to play it. Then that the way you approach the problem is different. And like I said, your mistakes become your style. And if you make a mistake because they didn't do it that way, that becomes you.
Yes.
So it's very important to make mistakes. I think it is, because what is a successful drawing anyway? I think mistakes is what makes it interesting. If you don't make mistakes, you're basically photocopying. It looks too realistic. Because you could say Dean Cornwell, well, that's not realistic. Those proportions are off. It's not about that. It's about the feeling.
That's a really good point. And especially if you look at old masters, and this is what I don't like about hyperrealism.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at hyperrealism these days, what it essentially is a photograph. It is the slowest printed photograph ever. Yes, exactly. But when you look at old master paintings and they painted like a harbor or something, the difference is you feel what they felt. Like you can almost smell the scene. And if you see this hyperrealism, it's a photo. You don't immerse with the painting. It's just like, okay, they took a photo here. Wow. But with classical painters, they can sort of capture the essence of a scene or a figure or whatever. And I think that's what makes good fundamentals, good painting, that what separates it from I'm not saying you don't need skills for hyperrealism, but I'm saying like there's no artistic interpretation into the scene.
Yeah. No, absolutely. This is Frank Zane, by the way.
Yeah, awesome bodybuilder.
I think for learning anatomy, it's very good to look at bodybuilders because, of course, male, female bodybuilders doesn't matter. And because learning anatomy, I really got into like the golden era, of bodybuilding. But I think Frank Zane was, for me, I like Arnold. I like abs for some reason, the shapes. Yeah. And he had very blocky abs, and Frank Zane was more. Well, you know a lot more about this than me, really, so.
Well, I don't know the bodybuilding scene that much, but I do like, of course, the from that age, those guys were built better in my view than today's bodybuilders.
I think for drawing reference, they look more aesthetic.
Aesthetic, exactly.
Yeah.
They have that classical V shape. They don't have the muscle belly like they have right now.
I mean, if you want to draw the Hulk, then I think like Ronnie Coleman or something, or Jay Cutler they function. But if you want to draw, like I think Frank Zane could really be like a more classical archetype warrior.
It's like a Greek sculpture, basically.
Yeah. This is at the Watts Atelier.
I'd love to visit that in person one day. Did you do a workshop there, or just like a one thing live drawing, or?
So Travis, he used to be a student at Watts.
Okay.
And I visited him a couple of times and then he became a teacher. So Jeff, his best students, he picks them to teach us fundamentals because he's more focusing on advanced.
Yeah.
Because after a while, like he talked about it, you get so detached from the fundamentals if you're later on in your career that you want to break away from them.
Yeah, makes sense.
And to teach it, it becomes more and more difficult the older you get.
Yeah.
So it's good to have people that just went through it to teach it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Travis just said, because I was telling him like it's kind of a legendary place for
it is
since 2008.
I'd love to do a workshop there.
Like Stan also went there.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to draw in the atelier, like sort of a
me too.
A bucket list thing as an artist. So
they do these boot camps sometimes.
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'm gonna do at some point because I'm still an ambassador for the Watts Atelier. Even though I run my own school, like the Watts Atelier, traditional learning, charcoal, gouache, oil, whatever, fantastic.
The Riley method.
Riley method, exactly.
I don't use it actually. I never, because I started drawing mannequins before.
Yeah.
I know the Riley method, but I think it's sort of same with finding energy and shapes.
Yep.
I think similar in that way. It doesn't really matter the name. Like if you just figure it out your own way, then it's.
It's good to have. Yeah. It's good to have those fundamentals. Like we teach it at Artwod as well. The Riley methods, just because if you have it, you can use it in your own way.
Of course.
And interpret it. And that's what's nice about it.
I really don't know what this
is. This because you didn't have any page left for the head? And
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Awesome.
See? Can't draw his head and no head, whatever. If you make it intentional, then it's no longer a mistake.
Exactly. That's a quote of the day. We're going to start with that. If you make it intentional, then it's no longer a mistake.
That's the TSA.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. Like when you put your laptop away and you just stored it so nicely. Like you really planned the backspace.
Yep.
And you have to pull it out and you have to take your shoes off.
And then the horses again. You can see the horses improved throughout the sketchbook.
Yeah, at the start. Oh, I made a mistake here. See, now I'm pointing it out. That's what you shouldn't do. But this is learning purposes, I guess. Here as well, this arm is a little bit too long. But I'm just pointing this out to say, like, this is not perfection. This is not, and I'm not even insinuating it is at all, far from. I'm just trying to force my will on the paper as good as I can. This has to work. If it doesn't, I'll still draw it.
And again, it's what I talked about, that cheerleader effect. The whole works beautifully. Those individual mistakes don't matter. They actually give character to the drawing.
Good. This is another plain drawing.
Yeah.
I was getting bored of doing them, so I wanted to add a little story here. This didn't really happen. They didn't get pissed at me for drawing on the plane. But yeah, I just try to use, there's nothing to do on a plane. And I don't read that much books, so I just grab my sketchbook and I draw. And it's always the same thing, but it's still a practice for drawing in perspective. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're waiting at the doctor. That's what I always say is when I was like around 15 years old, I was waiting for it. I already was drawing before that.
Yeah.
But I was just waiting at the bus station and I just found myself, it was in my head. It's like, why aren't you drawing right now? You're just waiting for the bus. Like when those moments in life, when you're not doing, you catch yourself not doing anything. Right. And nobody's asking anything of you. You're just waiting. You're on a bus. You're in the back of the car. You can draw. Like those are actually excellent. Those are usually the moments you ask me, how do you find time? Because you have a lot of dead time still, even if you're very busy. And you can use that as well to draw.
You often have like these very interesting facial expressions in your drawings. How did you practice those? Because usually a lot of people will, a figure, again, the neutral face, etc., etc.
Right,
How do you go about?
It's from animation. I studied animation at first. Yeah, I still do animation for animatics, like I animated. I'm not as elaborate as I used to, but I'm working on a short film in my free time as well.
Yeah.
So it's basically doing a lot of animation, yeah. I would recommend everyone, even if you're not going to study animation, to do a walk cycle. Because then you know how the balance works and how you walk. Because a lot of times I see drawings of a figure walking and the left arm and the left leg are forward at the same time. Stuff like that, yeah. For balance. And
there's a very specific rhythm to a walk cycle, right?
Yeah.
It's like what you said, a lot of people will think when they draw a walking character, like, oh, it's just the foot forward and then one back, but that's not. There's a cadence to it that is really good to learn from animation.
Yeah, my anatomy teacher, the first thing he asks anyone that he's going to teach is, okay, draw me someone walking from the front and running from the sides.
Yeah.
And I can see how much you actually know.
Yeah.
It's actually more tricky if you have to do it from imagination, then you can test yourself. That's my grandfather. He just asked me, can you draw me? And then
That's super cool.
he leaned against that wall and I was like, okay.
By the way, I was meaning to ask actually, is this Copic?
No.
Because that will bleed through, right?
It's not Copic.
So how do you do it?
Like
oh, you just smudge it.
Smudge it, yeah.
Oh, so every time it's just it looks like a Copic. It's really nice.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper solution. And this is the one that on the previous recording was sketched.
Oh yeah, we'll show that.
And here,
yeah,
you can do a little fade between, and you can see like how I start with very light lines, like sort of perspective. Although I still think I drew them too harshly here. They could have been a little bit lighter. Now there's deers, and then you start inventing these little things in the drawing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You can hide them. There's like a weird pigeon there. Yeah, you can just have fun with it, and then it's also an exercise in perspective again. Like,
and composition. Like it's an exercise in everything. Composition, where to put focal points and everything. It's just
hands.
So
you
cool.
can just
hands,
draw them everywhere. It's like you're gonna draw in your noodling your sketchbook anyway, so why not make a composition out of it? Challenge yourself a little bit. This one also was last week in Sketches, so we can bring that up. And then I'm just experimenting with that more gray and the black. So it's no markers, it's still ink, because if it was markers, it would bleed through. And that's why I like about these. And I use a green ball pen, and you save the highlights, like you spare the tattoo highlights a little bit. And it feels a little bit more glossy.
Again, that's like thinking before you.
Yeah, exactly.
Draw, right?
The further you can see ahead,
exactly.
The more successful your drawing is going to be. So it's very important to think before you draw.
And that's why doing sketches, especially with unforgivable media, is really good.
Here's a church from the back. And when I was standing there, my parents were, my mother was visiting that church, and I just said, how many times did I draw a church from the back? I didn't. Give me 1-2 minutes. I think it was like 5. You get like hear everything, and you can just. But it's not everything. There's no details, but it's the perspective. The intention. You see the arches, like the way, like the organ. And now you can actually still add figures with a red ballpoint pen on top of it, so it feels like ghosts walking in there. Draw everything and anything that you find interesting.
Oh yeah.
And don't be afraid to say, I only have 10 minutes, I'm not going to make a nice drawing. Doesn't matter. You still draw it. It's your sketchbook. And
you can finish it later, exactly what you did with this. So it can always become something beautiful.
This is, again, something I'm probably going to finish later.
So again, this is like a good example, again, of how you sketch in things and then finish them later.
Exactly. You don't see any perspective lines that much here, but I kind of know it's not too hard. I think the horizon line's here. Sorta. And I can... knowing that like this chair is a little bit wrong, but I can correct that as I'm going by making a figure out of it or whatever, a deer. I don't know. You can do anything you want. That's when I'm out. Like I really quickly draw people sometimes. It's like that's actually also important. You don't have to be an introvert and sit at home. I always took my sketchbook with me, even when I went clubbing or go out. It is the best party trick. Everybody will want you to draw them. Really works. And then you're also living life, and your sketchbook will be filled with a club and dancing people. Even if the sketches aren't that good because you had to do them super fast.
And there's a story to tell again.
Like this guy literally asked me, can you draw me like this? Like, wait, stop. Okay.
Also for yourself, just to have memories.
And now I look through these and I can...
and you relive them. That's so nice.
And that's at a friend's house, an artist. I was just messing with him. Cool. That wasn't really there. Trust me.
Allegedly.
He likes drawing a lot of naked women. He's like a fellow friend, so I was sort of like fulfilling his wish.
All right. Beautiful.
So I think it's time for the
so with that said, like if you enjoy these sketches, which we all do, it's hard to get this from Rembert, right? We can try and steal it from him.
On the bus.
Unless you find it on the bus, exactly. You're not going to have this, but you have made it possible for people to get something like this, haven't you?
So here it is. That's a dummy right now still. The test print for a book that I worked on with Edition Corrède and Spirito. 224 pages from the last 4 years.
Amazing.
yeah, I wanted it to be even thicker, but you know, like I think it is.
Yeah, I had a sneak peek already. I have an original drawing, so
Well, if you
absolutely awesome. I love the title as well.
figure it
Figured
out,
out. It's so good. It's like typical you as well. So it's like really nice.
I wanted to clarify. I haven't figured it out. It's more about
Yes, you
there's
have.
a lot of figures
Yes,
in
you
there.
have. Yes, you have.
I'm still learning.
For everyone from the outside world, you have figured it out. This is Marielle.
Very true.
Tribute to Marielle.
Yeah, I'll just because she's actually the most drawn figure in the book. She's
sleeping
everywhere.
Wake up, Marielle. You get a nice forward here from who is this?
Ryan Woodward.
Okay.
He's the one that actually hired me at Riot in 2016. So
nice.
Thank you, Ryan, for believing in me, because I was at that point living in Croatia.
Yeah.
Like just reserving the next 2 years to grind to hopefully work at a big company.
Yeah.
So I basically just went to him for feedback. It's like, can you give me some help? And he looked through my sketchbooks, and then he said like, oh, you would be interested in working in LA. So that was unexpected, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, maybe. No, I was over the moon. I wasn't expecting that at all. Like my expectations were just, it's going to give me feedback so I can work on it for the next 2 years.
Yeah, so awesome. You see, and that's a great testament to show your stuff.
Show your stuff at events.
Right.
Well, actually, the first 2 years, I didn't show my stuff. So 2014 was my first event.
Yeah.
And for the 2014 and 15, I just went to the event, made friends.
Yeah.
Talked to the Riot recruiter, that was Kenny Carvalho at the time. And he sort of got to know me as just who I am without my art, because I didn't show it.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, when I came and I showed up at the recruitment session at Riot, he was like, oh, I know, Rembert, what's up? I said, I can show you my work. I never seen it. Show me your work. Because there was already like a good vibe before. And when I showed it, he was like, I'm going to call Ryan. And I was getting really nervous. I was like, oh, shit. I'm going to get roasted. But then Ryan wrote his mail in the sketchbook in the back and says, mail me. And when I got back that Monday, I was thinking he's never going to answer me. It's never. There's no way. He was just trying to be nice. And I start the mail, dear Mr. Woodward, you might remember me, like at Sketchbook. Send it. I said, I'm not going to hear from that. 2 minutes later, I absolutely remember who you are. Yes, hang in there. It still took a month to get things going. So I was still nervous for a month. But then I got the mail at 2 a.m. one time, like introduction to Riot games. Like I didn't open it.
Nice.
I just had a heart attack. I was so nervous. Like I only opened it the next day. But that was big for me because I was moved to Croatia to practice. And I had to set this money aside from a year of freelancing for theme parks and like stuff that was cool, but that was not really what I wanted to do. Even though concept art for theme parks is super, like nothing wrong with it. But that was just like, one of those moments I'll remember for the rest of my life, because you're not expecting. I think keep your expectations low and be surprised. Yeah,
for sure. But engage with people. Like I think that's the message. Like engage with people, like these events and etc.
If I didn't go to that event, then I would have never made those connections. I think it's the most important thing, especially if you're from Europe, US too. But it's more easier to reach out to fellow people in Los Angeles or something. There's a lot of sketch meetups and stuff. But in Europe, you're kind of on your own. So that is very important to go to playgrounds, if that's still playgrounds.
Playgrounds,
the cave that you said. What was that?
Cave, that's in Denmark. And then Concept 101 is one we'll get more involved in. I think you have IMAX still in Paris.
Trojan Horse.
And then THU.
This one's every 2 years now. But that is the one I got hired at THU. I like that one because it's less people and the speakers are not going by themselves having dinner later on.
Right.
They have to stay in the same place so you can really get to know them. Because I feel in other events that are a little bit bigger, they go to private parties and they're there and you don't see them again. And it's important that you can stay around them.
I agree. Yeah, so we're not going to go through everything because then there's going to be a 20-hour video. I would love to, but we're going to just talk a little bit about it. Like how did it came about, Rembert? And did you select any specific sketches? Or?
I did select. There's way more, and I actually wanted to have, like I said, like more loose ones and stuff. But I guess like you can watch it. But there are actually a lot of loose ones. Like the loose ones that I found are most educational, that you can see how I start something. So it's not only finished drawings, because I think that as artists to look at it as important. I love watching Sargent's, his loose drawings.
Sure.
We all love his finished paintings, but it's just so rare to see from that caliber of artists to see his loose ones. That's why you go to museums to see them, or you can buy books. Like,
Yep.
if you're interested, like,
I mean, this is a must-have book, guys. This is if you need an inspirational book, this is the one to get. I've already scrolled through it when I was doing sketches, so.
well, awesome, yeah. I can give you some feedback. But you were saying like this is what Artwod is also focusing like from imagination.
Yes.
Like drawing figures, figuring
Yep.
out the shapes, and that is really, even though the Watts Atelier I like them a lot, they just observe from life.
Yes.
It's not focused on imagination. So you're trying to actually teach that
Yeah.
that part for concept art purposes.
Yeah, we're trying to really, with our beginner course and our beginner courses and that intermediate step of like the workouts, we're trying to really facilitate those skills of spatial awareness first and foremost, and then drawing from imagination
Yep.
with design thinking,
Absolutely.
not just copying, basically. And that's just what creates better concept artists in general, problem solvers. If you then want to venture out into 3D or whatever you want to do, those are still fundamental skills to have.
Plus the Discord channel you have, even if you're thinking about joining it, you can just go on the Discord
Yep.
as well. And there's a lot of people there that just share the journey with you.
Yep.
Like I also pop in there from time to time. So
It's true. Under an alias.
I'm not going to reveal that. So
Yeah.
you just
We
have
have
to pop
some,
in.
we have some great artists in our Discord that are actually under an alias. This drawing, by the way, Rembert, I would love the original of that in like a, but I don't know how big you drew this.
Oh, it's
like,
an A4.
okay.
That one is actually already sold.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I would buy it. I would totally buy it. Like having it like an A2 would be
With the
amazing.
dogs, yeah.
Yeah. Such a cool drawing.
That's a New York on a subway.
This is not a subway. Like
It's
that.
like
yeah.
Magritte, sort of. Cecina Pazimpit,
It's a better beat.
Tupac, Lauryn Hill. They don't look like them, but you know. Like
This definitely does look.
I'm into a lot of music, so it's just like rap, rock, jazz, trance, like
Yep.
whatever fits the vibe I'm drawing sometimes.
These are so cool.
Yeah, those are really like
Like what?
that's nothing. I don't know even what that is. Like,
It's
there's
cool,
some
man. I
goblin
loved it.
with
Like
a
that's what
long-
I love. Like those doodles is like
So I really
so
wanted
much
them
fun.
to be in that book as well. So what I said earlier about that they're very select, there are, but I also wanted to keep it like you're really scrolling through
Yeah.
the sketchbook. Scrolling, browse, flipping. See, I've been too long on social media.
Yeah. There was one period where I did so much work, and I work on my iPad, right?
Right.
I did so much work, and I completely neglected my sketchbook. And I was like, oh, I need to go back to sketchbooking. The first sketch that I started, I was tapping to undo on my page. And I'm like, whoa, this is not good, Antonio.
Or like I had someone that next to me, I forgot who it was, like when he was drawing in his sketchbook, and
Zooming in.
yeah, because he's used drawing on an iPad,
Yep. Then you know you have a problem.
or just like so.
Yeah.
Used
So
to, you
into
can
the
still-
digital.
Yeah, but
I
I
love
like
this.
having an original at the end of the day.
Same.
It's
Absolutely. Like
Well,
all of these that you have, that's so cool. Like they're
Yeah,
all of
everything
these have
is-
originals.
Yeah, this
Like,
is all.
I definitely need to
original.
buy some of your originals, by the way.
Well, you have some.
And I now have a catalog.
Yeah.
I now have a catalog to browse to, and I'll call you like, hey, Rembert, is this for sale?
Well, some of them are in sketchbooks as well, so then I have to
Well, you have to rip them out.
surgically rip them out.
Yeah. Well, Carl Kabinski's doing the same now.
Oh,
so.
does he rip out of his sketchbook?
Yeah.
Like moleskins?
That's from a sketchbook.
Oh, but those are easier ones. In moleskins, I think it's a little bit
Moleskin's
harder.
yeah.
But some of them are actually, you can see the ring bindings in some of the drawings.
Right.
Like this is literally like on the bus. Like that's what I like. This is just figuring out shoes to people standing there. I think it's very
So
important
cool.
to just always try to draw something that you weren't comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I just think shoes are fun to draw. I already said that in some previous videos. I don't have a big shoe collection actually, but
Wow, this is cool.
that's more. Sometimes for work I really design in ball pen as well, like environments. It's just it goes quicker. For
This
me.
is so cool, man.
And it's with a like a highlight pen.
Yeah. Wow. Instantly, I got Sid Mead vibes here.
Yeah, Sid Mead is awesome. He was at the issue before he passed. He actually showed in my sketchbook once, and it was with gouache paintings. And I asked him, "How do you get those smooth gradations?" And he was like, "Don't be afraid to use airbrush." I'm like,
Airbrush, yeah.
I
We
thought-
just saw this one.
yeah.
Wow, so cool.
That's me in the back. They're doing stuff. And there's a couple of paintings at the end. That's it.
Yeah, I love these as well. These are all gouache, right?
Yeah, that's
Gouache
a
and
watercolor.
watercolor?
That's a watercolor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some gouache. Like, I don't clean my gouache palette that well.
Yeah.
So it mixes with watercolor, and it's probably a mix of both.
Beautiful.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Super amazing. So,
All right.
where can people get this, Rembert?
It's going to be available from Editions Corette.
Okay.
That's the publisher. Probably give a link to it. It's the same one as Karl Kopinski and,
Yeah. Evan as well?
Evan as
Okay.
well. Yeah, it's the same publisher. So I'll probably promote it on my channel.
Okay. We will definitely promote it as well.
I appreciate that.
For
Yeah.
sure. So anyone that's watching this and our Artwod students, be sure to check out for this. When we launch it, it probably won't be available yet in store or online.
It won't probably be.
You'll
but-
be teasing it at Lightbox.
Yes,
think?
I will have
Yeah.
these physical copies of me at Lightbox.
But anyway, we'll make the links available when they are. I think everyone should get the sketchbook. It's awesome.
All right. Thank you so much again for having me, man.
Absolutely, man.
It's such
It's
a
been a pleasure.
beautiful place as well, the studio.
Thanks. 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 All right. Catch you later, everyone. If you've enjoyed that video with me and Rembert, be sure to check out Rembert's book, now available through the link below, as well as check out our collaboration with Rembert with our t-shirt and apparel branding, Drawn. So go to the Drawn website, you'll be able to see our collaboration effort with Rembert, where we have an amazing sketch from Rembert on one of our shirts. Fantastic to see, fantastic to wear. So if you want to get that, make sure you check that out as well. And make sure you check out the book through the link below.